Guess what time it is?
It's time for small potatoes.
Where we give you a naughty tease of our latest Patreon episode.
Be sure to subscribe. Links are in the description. I find it so offensive. Like who asks someone that? I mean, I don't even know if I'd ask a partner, to be quite honest with you, unless they gave me that information. That I'm like, how dare you ask me what I make? What's it of your business?
So until the years of Google, I didn't know what my own parents made. That just wasn't something you asked. Like I wouldn't be
Right.
like, "Hey mom, what's your salary? What's your take-home
Right.
pay?" It's never a thing. I think if you're interested in getting into something, let's say you have a stripper friend and you're like, so I've been thinking about it. How much money could I make? That's
Right.
a fair question, right? Or like, what is the pay like? And they explain, oh, it's per dance or it's per client or it's per this and this is what you make an hour or something like that. Yes, but to go, you're right. To go up to someone and be like, what's your take home? I'd be like, mind your fucking business.
Yeah.
Mind your business. I feel like the age question is common. I feel like the looks question is common. I think that's stigma because the assumption is that every client is creepy or
Hmm.
must be like hideous or something, which they're not. I mean, listen, hideous people are welcome too.
Hmm.
People are just normal. They're just normal looking. They're normal acting. They're normal beings. Just normal fucking dudes. The guy at the bank, the bus driver, parent on the PTA. Like they're just fucking normal.
Hmm.
And I like when I'm able to answer the question in the sense that it smashes some stigma. And
Right.
yet, I'm like, really, you got of all the things you could ask me, which I'm sure there's a lot.
Right.
That's like the big burning question you have. Let's branch out. Let's go a little deeper. Like, shouldn't it be more, not necessarily scandalous, but more interesting questions? Like,
Right.
because it's a yes or no. Like either, oh yeah, they're all horrible, or some like there's not that's not a conversation starter
Yeah.
even. So I don't
I,
fucking know.
I think
The
there's
girls were like, I
so
get the
many.
ugly question all the time. So many people ask the ugly question. They just kept going. That's terrible. I think there's some other good ones. That people agreed that they get asked what's the worst. Things like, is there anything unsafe that's happened? What's the worst experience you ever had? Does someone come to mind that's the worst slash ugliest? Like these just go with the ugly. But I understand the is it dangerous type questions.
Mhm.
There's a couple other ones that are like, do you pay taxes? What if you don't fancy the client? I love the people from overseas because they just ask it nicer. If you don't fancy him, I love it. What do you do with all your cash? Who's, who's asking? It's under my mattress. Go away.
But you know what? I think beyond just reading these, let's actually answer some of them. So if they
Okay,
are
okay.
burning questions, first of all, I don't think everything is cash, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
But when it comes to taxes, there is definitely girls that work in this as a sex worker permanently. This is their life. And so, yes, they're going to need mortgages and loans and all the things that other people do. So they do pay their taxes. And yes, they can. They are independent contractors. But then there's some that do it as a side hustle and never pay their taxes. That is their personal choice. At least from our world, in our business, it's not my business or concern what a girl does. She is an independent contractor. What
Absolutely.
we're going to touch on as well. I think that just it comes with a lot of assumptions. I think people generally assume if you're in sex work that you're rich. And I
Right.
think there is absolutely girls that make boatloads of money, like any industry. And then there's some that survive. So
Yeah.
the assumption is not true that everyone does it or that everyone that does it is rich. And I think the question that gets asked about, like, how did you get into it? Are you going to do it forever? Like, do you
Mm.
ask your dentist, are you going to do this forever? Like, it's his job. Like, it's just the questions just don't make sense sometimes.
It's so true. It's so inappropriate almost. Like it's like it borders on so many isms. Like stop this. Because
Mhm.
listen, the majority of sex workers are female, definitely not all.
Yeah,
But like would you ask a man that kind of question who's going to Chippendales and be like, "So
right.
are you going to do this is this your big career plan? Like where's your future?" But the how did you get into it is a very common question. I found
Yeah.
clients used to ask that a lot in session when they didn't know what to ask.
Hmm.
And it was weird because back then the answer was, I saw an ad in the newspaper.
Right.
Gist of it. And the point you made about taxes is, I think, not just smart, but great because the more it steers away from the majority being in cash, you are claiming taxes. If you have an
Mhm.
OnlyFans or anything that runs through a credit card, anything like that, you don't have a choice. It's part of it. Like there's trackable, traceable money. There's not a
Mhm.
shoebox in the attic. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just different thing. And back in my day, people had safety deposit boxes once the mattress was full. Like
Yeah.
it's just the way it worked. Nowadays, you get a T4 and you get an invoice and you get like all these things with your monthly reports from what you earned on whatever platform you're on. Like
Mhm.
it's a different beast.
Mhm.
That should have been in our then and now.
Yes.
Taxes. Who knew that would be interesting? But it's true. People they just like to ask all these things.
Mhm.
This one's not much a question, but it's a statement. And I'm like, this is why we have a podcast. You must have some pretty crazy stories. Like, if I had $1 for every time someone said that to me,
Mhm.
here we are on a mic. And
You
yes,
got it. All right.
us and taxi drivers have some crazy fucking stories. I'll tell you that.
Mhm.
EMS people too must have some crazy stories. Either which way.
Mhm.
How do you stay safe or aren't you scared? Again, a lot of safety questions,
Mhm.
which I think are important for a sex worker to answer honestly if they're being asked that in their personal life. Are the clients nice, ugly, or old? Do you get weird requests? What's the weirdest request? That's a super common question for
Mhm.
sure because people want to know the weird stuff. They want to know the weird, creepy, gross, funny, shocking, like
Yeah.
blooper, humorous type things as much as they want to hear all the sexy, dirty, like filthy talk too. Because who
Yeah.
doesn't love a story where someone trips and falls?
Mhm.
I love that kind of shit. You and I both love fall down videos. It cracks me up. And they're naked and they fell on their head. Winner. Like
Yeah.
ridiculousness. We need an after dark episode because yeah.
I
Do
think
your kids or family know?
Oh, okay. That's a
I
common
think
one.
that's a big one. Or like, does your partner know? Or
Mhm.
who knows? Or, how long before you told me if you're just confessing it? I think people ask that one a lot too. I feel like I cut you off. You were gonna say something.
I wanted to touch on the like, are they, I don't know if the question was like, are they good looking or what if they're not attractive? And I think that's an important piece because I don't, especially I can go back to training girls. I do tell
Mm,
them, first of all, never judge a book by its cover because you will be shown not to very quickly. But I don't think in any industry, and if I think we think about the sex industry as if we are any other business, because to us, Muse is Starbucks, it
presence.
is IBM, it is a corporation, and we run that way. But I don't think it's fair to have an expectation that all clients are going to be good looking. And if you go into it looking that way, you're going to miss out on some really great people because some of the best people or the best orgasms you may have may not come out of a cookie cutter that you expected it to. So, really, just not
Yep.
to judge the individuals and look more to the experience, the connection, creating the fantasy. And I don't think everyone, every dentist is looking down someone's mouth that smells amazing or looks great. That's just part of the job. And those are
Right.
parts of sex worker job too. Why do you keep going to the dentist today? But it's just a good example for me to use.
Listen, they see some shit too. And they probably hear some things from all the Novocaine. Like,
Right.
fun ride. Damn, they're getting it today from Riley. I love it. The poor dentist. Um, Shit, I had a thought and it just left my mind when I started giggling.
Talking
Um,
about their appearance and not judging
oh,
their
right,
exterior.
because it's almost cliche how wrong the assumption is.
Right.
Like it's like the guy who tries to come in and be flashy is the first guy who's going to be asking for like a deal or a discount or
Mhm.
a bargain but it's my first time, let me try it first or whatever
Yeah.
nonsense. And then it's the guy who looks like he just came from like building a bridge that's covered in like dust and dirt and construction, whatever, and like looks beaten and worn down and tired and all the things, is the guy that ends up dropping 5 bills for you as he sneaks out the door and barely says
Mhm.
bye while you were still in the shower. You didn't even get
Right.
to give him a hug, and he's just poof into the night. And like you never know. The orgasms thing is equally true. Listen, I'm sure there's sexually skilled hot men out there, but men that aren't, it's almost like they're trying to overcompensate. It's like, listen, nobody's better at foreplay than small penis men because they
Right.
know where their skills will lie and they know how to make up for shortcomings. And listen, a lot of people with big dicks don't fuck very well because they just think
Right.
that's all they need is the equipment and they just show up to
Yeah.
work. Like it's funny how exact and like literally cliche the assumptions are absolutely wrong. The big tippers come
Mhm.
from the guy who looks like your average Joe. Most people don't walk around in public, like not in public, privacy seeking situations being flashy.